This is my Walmart Third Coast Arbor 100 8-foot kayak. I wanted to go over how I made the tiller and mounted it to the hull so that you can push back and forth on this to steer it. I use the Minn Kota speed control, a scrap doorknob plug that I drilled out of a door. It's a wooden plug. I just use that for a knob. Went to the hardware store, bought this conduit hanger. I used existing holes here and Gorilla Glue to mount this piece of wood with the conduit hanger. And I bent it here with the propane torch, smashed it there with a propane torch and put in a vise to smash that flat. I had a black plug laying around, plugged off the conduit. Here I had to make a joint so that I get the proper twist back here when the motor is in down position. This is another semi tractor trailer truck trailer power cable connector, which is a 7-pin, which will handle the amps very easily. So let's go over where I put the battery. Usually right here. I put the battery in there. Here I used existing screw holes, the existing drain hole to mount the transom mount. No holes were drilled in this kayak to put this motor on. This is completely reversible. I believe this is a Minn Kota 30 pound thrust motor here. It goes into the water about a foot. This is a couple years old. I've used it several times. This ball joint here unscrews. You take the motor off, take the tiller off, take the kayak down to the water, put the motor and tiller back on. There's one screw up there in the conduit mount here, so that's pretty easy to do. It takes a couple of minutes to put this back on because I don't block the launch area when I'm usually down there. Usually we got a couple of kayaks, so you don't want to block people. So I'm using mostly the Minn Kota slightly modified transom mount. As you see here, this has been cut down. I think I put shorter pins in here in order so I can tighten it up on the transom block here. And silicone that just lightly because you still want air to escape from the motor because it's going to get warm. It's going to build up pressure. You don't want to blow the seals in the motor. So this is kind of a half waterproof situation here. So the speed is 4 to 5 knots on this one. It's slightly slower even though this hull design is slick. Where my son's is rough, but it's still faster. The battery life, I've used car battery in here and the solar 12-volt lawnmower battery in here, and it lasts about an hour. I tend to use the battery more on maximum to stay up with my son because his kayak is slightly faster. But he's using a 40 or a 50-pound thrust trolling motor here, so there's a big power difference, and he's a little bit lighter. So it lasts about an hour for me. I think if you were on medium speed, you'd probably go a little bit longer, and it is really easy to tell without a gauge or a meter that you are running low on power and you should be heading back. So when you really start noticing it's probably about a half hour in, you may start noticing just a little bit of a slowdown. And when you're on maximum, these switches do get a little bit warm, but they're plastic, so they're not going to get too hot. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned something from this.